Welcome to Pat's Cast, the unofficial Regina Pats podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
I'm Kevin.
And this is our wrap-up for the 2021 season.
Zach Smith back in, left circle for Denemy, in front Smith, and he scores! Zach Smith has his hat-trick goal!
Carter Mathieu walks in. Are you kidding me? What a goal by Carter Mathieu. A thing of beauty. Woo.
Down the near circle, Tanner Houck scores! His first career goal!
Well, thanks, Kevin, for joining us again for our season wrap-up. This is at the Blue Liner, writing with the Dub Network. So thanks for Kevin for coming on and giving us his opinion on this season that was. So we are all done the 2021 season, the hub, the East Hub, the Subway Hub, Sub-Hub, we like to call it. Overall, how did you guys feel this went?
I thought it went pretty well. You just look at it, actually, no hiccups. One of the few sporting events or things that happened in this last year without any hiccups. Can't think of many offhand that didn't go without, a positive test here or there. Even in the other WHL situations, they've had some issues, but so that way, I thought it went pretty well. And yeah, every team got their games in. It was some pretty decent hockey for what it was.
Yep.
And I can't really complain about it.
I would label this as a total success given the circumstances, right? I think their first priority would have been, as you said, keeping everyone safe, and no positive tests are a good indication of that. It was decent hockey. There wasn't a lot of injuries, it seemed like, given the tight time frame of the games and kind of the going into it without a lot of warming up and, kind of the normal things they do with training camps and preseason and this and that. They were kind of right into competitive hockey quite quickly. I would think I would mark this up as a success.
Totally agree with both you guys.
Yeah.
It was for the games I was able to get to, it was amazing. There's no issues, no problems.
Yeah, it seemed professionally run and totally. No, and we said it a few times, we're thankful to have any hockey this season. It was looking pretty grim. I think both Chris and I gave it a 99% chance of not happening. And the powers that be, they pulled this together and gave us something to keep us going this year. So I guess we'll congratulate the Brandon Wheat Kings, division champs. I think I called them from the start. And you guys were with the Winnipeg, PA, I think it was. But I had mentioned Brandon.
Yeah, I didn't have Brandon.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but it was close there between Winnipeg. They squeaked it out. Brandon by 1 point in the end. So good for them. That was the win against us, I think, that sealed it. We won't get too much into these last two games the Pats played. They just aren't really worth talking about, in my opinion. There were some highlights, but we'll get to some of those, some individual highlights. I think it was not so much the team. It felt like they'd kind of cashed it in there by the end.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a disappointing end, but you played the top two teams in the division, and it wasn't too unexpected.
Yeah, I know. It just would have been maybe nice to see some better efforts there to wrap up the season. But all in all, the Pats end up, after a 24-game season, 9 wins, 12 losses, and 2 overtime losses and 1 shootout loss, so really effectively 15 losses, 9 and 15, final record. Now, we were breaking it down between, of course, when Connor Bedard left. So 6 wins with him and then 3 without. Kevin, you were mentioning the goal differential with and without?
Yeah, in the first 15 games with Bedard, they scored 53 times for a 3.53 average. And the last 9 games, they only scored 23 goals, which was 2.56. So almost a full goal difference between the first 15 and the last 9. So
yeah.
Bedard was pretty important.
He was, and that's evidenced by the scoring race as well. You have Connor Bedard finishing at the top, tied with Riker Evans. Maybe both. I mean, to me and Chris, surprising. Kevin, you called Connor Bedard being the leading scorer. That was before you knew that he wasn't going to be here for the whole season. But you still are at least half right on this. Riker Evans being tied with him, I think, is totally out of left field. He plays 24 games, gets 3 goals and 25 assists. Like, just a surprising statistic to have a defenseman as one of your top scorers. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know if that's indicative of something. But, yeah, I mean, obviously you can see the impact that Connor Bedard had, putting up 28 points in 15 games, 12 goals, 16 assists. And we talked about it in some past episodes. Most of those assists were not secondary. Most of them were primary. Were any of them secondary?
One
was. Getting into the Pats specifically, let's talk about some of the things that you liked, thought were good highlights of the season, and maybe not so the lowlights, let's call them. Chris, why don't you kick us off with that?
Highlights, I thought, some of the young guys getting in, like, with it only being the 24 games, like some people are calling it developmental season. Maybe we would like to see some players play more, like a keeper. I thought he had played fairly well in his few chances he got to play.
Yep.
I know he got the end game there against Brandon. And, what was the final score in that one? It was a tough one, but it wasn't on him, right?
Yeah.
The power play really let him down. And then the defense, I think there's lots of young guys there getting lots of ice time. And I thought Berg, I've mentioned him a couple times, I thought he looked pretty solid, like nothing flashy, but just pretty solid back there. And then forwards, maybe a little more disappointing from the forwards from my perspective. I thought maybe some guys would take a step forward. I mean, we talked about Dubinsky quietly kind of racking up some points, but I thought maybe score a few more goals. Like Englot, maybe thought would have had few more goals.
Well, after a season last year, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Smith, got the hat trick in that last game. It was kind of nice to see that, but even Massier, Carrier maybe chip in a few more. Stanek probably took a step forward a bit. He scored a couple goals, but these guys getting some experience, I thought that was good.
Yeah, I agree. Some of those players that last year they almost seemed like they were better last year. Not, I won't say better, but they had more production, right? Better is maybe not the right word, but yeah, like a guy, I don't know, I was hoping Chorney we'd see. I mean, he did put up 12 points, but I don't know, just to see more impact. It didn't feel like he had the impact that I would have liked to have seen, or he was starting to build up
right?
to.
You expect him to put up some better numbers this year, right? Take another step forward.
Yeah. And Drew Englot, he had a really good year last year. I didn't see the production from him. The forwards just wasn't.
Yeah,
wasn't
maybe
all
just
there.
a little lacking this year.
Yeah, but I agree. The young defenseman Leighton Feist. Wow, I think he's going to be something coming up here in the next few years. Happy to see that. And again, I'm just going to say Matthew Keeper, of course. Really happy to see where he's coming. A disappointment, obviously, and not his fault, but Jacob Brook being injured within, a few minutes of the season starting. I was really excited to see him play this year. Hopefully he heals up and is back next year for us. I think he's got lots of potential. Just, man, he's snake bitten. Poor guy. But, it was not a lot of offensive production outside of Bedard. You can look at Denemy, but he's not going to be here next year. So a bit of a gap going forward, it feels like.
What did you think, Kevin?
A lot of guys, I think, played roles they weren't really expected to play. And I know Matt was talking, there wasn't very much injury problems with the Pats, but the Pats did go through a lot of injuries. Losing Brook right away, I think that threw their whole chemistry off. And like the defense, Mitchell missed games because of injury.
Yeah.
Johnson missed games because of injury. A whole bunch of other guys were like Cadeau missed a few games because of injuries. So I think that threw guys in roles they weren't prepared for, and I'm sure it showed with a few of them, but I don't know. I can't really say too much bad about anybody. I was disappointed in a couple, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. Little Howe, when he got in the lineup, I love that kid. He's a tank. He's a little tank out there. He's gonna score some goals for the Pats.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hoping Welke could have got a couple more games just to get a little more experience, because
Give us an idea
Keeper
for
and
next
Welke are the only two goalies signed for next year so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, Strush alluded to that in, I can't remember which game it was, one of these recent final games, where he said, yeah, we couldn't sit guys and say, hey, well, this is what the problem is here. You know, you got to kind of maybe take a step back and kind of evaluate your game. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with them getting in the game and getting some experience in this season where it doesn't mean anything, right?
Totally, yeah.
You can't replicate game action in any practice.
24 games. I mean, it was good to get these guys up here and get some of that development. And I mean, some of the young guys, it was nice. He got hurt too. Now that we're talking about injuries, was DeWitt. I was hoping to see his game a little bit more, but just cut a little bit short with some injuries. Sure. So, of course, the end of the season is always kind of a sad time for a couple players. The 20-year-olds move on. So this year we're saying farewell to Denemy, Ross, and Walker. Neither spent their whole career, the Pats, but were impactful in their own rights. Denemy came in last year and really started to put up some points, and kind of found his groove with the Pats, something he hadn't found in his other teams. Ross came over and just never really felt like he got to settle and get clicked in with the Pats. Obviously, this year just was odd that way. And Kyle Walker again came over and just seemed to provide that leadership and some blue line experience for us. And they are on their way out. I haven't heard anything about their plans going forward. Not that there's a lot you can plan right now, but have you guys heard anything?
No, Denry said he's obviously they're all going to look pro. Oh well, Ross has a contract, right?
Yeah.
Or a drafted. I don't know if he's signed. I don't think he's signed. But Denemy said he's awaiting pro opportunities, and then he's still got they all have the scholarship to fall back on, right? So yeah. Walker, I didn't really hear from.
So you did get a chance to talk to Strush about our 20s. So we will listen to that and his comments about them.
Thank them all. I mean, Carson Denemy had a great year, great career. He developed. At 20 years old, he had 2 months here to develop. He developed into a really good hockey player. We saw it last year. He played with a really good player in Connor Bedard. And as much as everybody, says Connor helped Carson, yeah, he did. But Carson Denemy was a big, big part of helping Connor do what he did. And he deserves a lot of credit for it as a 20-year-old. Kyle Walker, for me, when we got him, he's a hard-nosed, heavy-hitting, physical defenseman. But you spend 30 seconds with that guy, and he's a very passionate, mature, wonderful human being. And the friendship that him and I have developed, it was really important. And then Roddy Ross, it's really sad that he wasn't a part of this for so much longer because of the person he is, the character he is, and the development that he could he's gotten, and the leadership he provides in the dressing room, the way he carries himself is at the next level. And I think those are true to life, people that you need a part of your organization. And they were a big part of us being, who we were, who we developed into, and our team identity. So it's that was the message in there. I spoke.
So anyways, he's talking about Carson Denemy. I think I would have liked to have heard from Carson just about how he felt about the season too. Just it seemed like he was, not that he was old, but rejuvenated, right? Playing on that line. And we talked about it before. You have the oldest player on the team playing with the youngest player, and they really just had that chemistry, and it was fun to watch. And I imagine he had fun playing too, right? It would have been a pretty neat experience for him.
Yeah, no doubt. And I know Bedard, in one of his last games here, credited him. He's like, well, I can't be putting up all these points if guys aren't scoring goals off my passes. And we seen it last year, Denby. He had that finish, right? And it just got elevated with the skill of Bedard, giving him these passes and taking some time and space away from him because he has so much attention placed on his game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just really a perfect fit, I thought, and I'm glad it came together, and I'm glad Carson Denemy got that chance, and he was a big part of Connor Bedard's success this season. Another part of wrapping up the season are the awards. Now, unfortunately, the Pats are kind of rolling them out, spaced out over at least a week, so we don't have all the awards named yet. But we'll start with the top. We have the most sportsmanlike player. So we have Zach Smith with a total penalty minutes of 10 this season. I think we've had lower totals. What was the one, Chris? You and I, we were doing that. Who was it that won that year? And he had this an exceptionally low penalty minutes. Wasn't it Pratt or something?
Yeah, I think it was Pratt. He had 6 or something.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous.
Stanek had 2 this year. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I don't think it's just penalty minutes that go into the Sportsmanlike Award. So congratulations to Zach Smith. Of course, may or may not be coming back next year as a 20 with the Pats. He started to heat up there at the end, and we can talk about the hat trick in the last game, but otherwise he had some good games with when he was on that line with Bedard and Denemy. Starting to build a case for himself to be maybe that third 20-year-old.
Yeah, I think anybody's in play here. They've talked about bringing in possibly some skill for next year, and a 20-year-old is a valuable spot, whether it's up front, even in net. You never know.
Yeah.
But I think out of what is on the roster now, I've liked his game out of all of the options, or I guess out of the options left, because Evans is a lock, Nyhoff's a lock, so you're looking at Massier, Chorney, and Smith, and I've liked his game much better than Chorney's and Massier's.
Yeah. He's certainly built a case for himself. We talk about it every year. The 20-year-old decision is just a shitty one. Someone has to make, and I'm glad it's not us. But it's not just these guys in play either. It's a lot of other players that could be in the mix too, from who knows where. So, we'll get into that situation a little bit later, but continue on with the awards. The Scholastic Player of the Year to Parker Berg with an 87 overall average. And he had and these weren't just cupcake classes he had either. He had it was AP math and he had some sciences in there too. So really good for him. It would have been tough in this last little bit here there's a lot of hockey going on and not a lot of supervision, I don't think, maybe in those dorms. So good for him for having that drive and focus during the season to continue on and get those sorts of marks. Chris, did you get a Scholastic Player of the Year or anything, awards like that?
Me? No. Yeah. No, I was the most educationally gifted student.
Kevin?
Well, the same.
Okay.
No awards this way. Not once I left grade school, anyway.
And then we touched on it a little bit earlier, but a tie before the leading scorer between Connor Bedard and Riker Evans. So congrats to Kevin for calling Bedard on that one. And Evans putting out, what was he in the WHL for defenseman? He had to have been pretty high up in the list there overall. He had more than a point a game as a defenseman. That's pretty. He was
second behind Cole Clayton out of Medicine Hat.
Yeah,
he had 30 30 points, 9 goals, 21 assists.
So yeah, good for Riker.
He had the most assists. 25 assists is the most by a defenseman.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, we've seen and we've talked about his game in the past where it's been pretty good, and he just took that next step this year, right? Like that's kind of what you wanted to see from some of these older guys, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, it was really good to see. Moving on to the Mike Cartouche Community Service Award, off to Logan Nyhoff for his work with the Hockey Gives Blood initiative and the Connexus Financial Literacy Program. Have you given blood yet lately?
Me, I don't. No.
Oh, man, you are not going to get any awards. I did a while ago, and actually just as Hockey Gives Blood was kicking off, I did, but I haven't since. That was a few years ago. I should get back out there. But it's always nice to see your captain getting this kind of award. I think that that goes a long ways. And
those older guys are usually out and about quite a bit. I mean, in a regular year, anyways.
Yeah.
They're out of school, so they've got the time to give back.
Right. So, like I said, we're not getting through all the awards yet because they're not all named. We were talking about it, though. We feel like we could probably identify a few of these. So we're going to start with the defensive or defenseman of the year. I mean, the easy answer is Riker Evans, but I mean, you can make an argument for some other players. Kevin, you were mentioning a few guys.
The Pats are known to split the award, so maybe Evans and Walker can share it. I don't know. Evans is the obvious.
Name two.
Walker
people.
Played well. So
okay, so name two.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure, why not? There's no rules.
Hey, it's your award. There's no rules.
You can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think you're right. It's either between Evans and Kyle Walker for that. The rookie of the year. I don't think we even need to discuss that one. Popular player. Do you think it just goes to Bedard without any?
Yeah. Hands down.
It's voted by the fans, by the way. So, I don't see how it goes to anyone else. And then the one that is a wild card for us, though, is the unsung hero.
Kevin?
I'm going to say Stanek. I don't really... That's it. I just saying who. I don't really have too much to say other than I think he played really well and just maybe didn't get the stats behind it. He looked good at times and just didn't get the numbers.
I would say Zach Smith. I just because I personally like his game, and he doesn't get a ton of publicity.
Okay, well I'll go with Massier.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah, I know. It's like it's throwing a dart, right? Like, you have no idea.
Yeah, Massier. He was exciting to watch too, man. He's got wheels. He's fun to watch as a player. So,
and that last, what was it in the Winnipeg game? The last game where he had the between the legs goal.
Oh, yeah. That was nice.
That was very nice.
Okay, well, that kind of wraps up this year. Really got the awards out. Season's all done. Is it time to start thinking about next year?
No better time than now.
Sure. So before we get into it, let's hear from Logan Nyhoff about his feelings about this team going forward.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Obviously we're still very young, so we're going to need a lot of guys to step up next year like we did in these last 5 games. Aside from tonight, I thought we were a really good team. We kind of found our identity late there, being a hard-nosed team, and we definitely need to play that in our advantage next year. But yeah, lots of guys are going to have to step up for sure. Losing Denemy and Walker and Rosser is going to be a big loss for us. So, it'll be fun, and it's extremely exciting. Looking forward to hopefully being a contender. I mean, we're right there. We'll see what happens with PA and Swift. We would have been in the wild card spot, so definitely a lot of excitement.
You've been through, the highs and the lows of this team over your past 4 or 5 seasons here. What do you kind of think the team's going to look like going into this next season, even into the season after you're gone?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been extremely fortunate to be with this club for so long, and be here at its highest, and then again at its lowest. So, but I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. We got a lot of good young guys. Extremely exciting to have Bedard back, and then after that, when I'm gone, we got a really bright future. I think Dards will be back for another year, and then keeper's looking really good. So it'll be exciting to have a young goalie. He reminds me a lot of Max Paddock. So hopefully he can take that step in his game and be a good starter for us. And yeah, like I said, the young guys, it's a big off season for everyone. I mean, they've got their toes wet now. So yeah, for sure. I think we're heading in the right direction.
So Logan mentions this team being contender next year. And I hate to talk about it already, but the reality is Connor Bedard's here for 2 years. 17.
Totally. Yeah.
And then he's off when he's 18. Likely, right? If things continue the way they are. And we have no reason to believe that.
You can't bet on him coming back at 18.
No. So this team has 2 years to be contender, and I mean, they're not there right now, right?
Nope.
Nyhoff says this team's, what was the word he used? A grinder or hard grinding team. Like, I don't know. Is that a contender style team to you? Like, is that what you think a description of a contender is? Like, I don't know. These are loaded questions, and there's you could talk forever about this, but I don't know. I think there's some movement that needs to happen somewhere along the lines here.
Yeah, because you look at the 17 team, where the most recent successful team that we've seen, and they had skill, right? Like, it was all skill, and that's how you win. And they didn't even. They still didn't win the championship, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's gonna be tough. I think they have to make some moves. What do you think, Kevin?
They need to find goals. They got to find some goals somewhere. Even if it's within, yay. If not, they need to find them somewhere.
And that's kind of what I was maybe getting to too. Is it a team? How do you build your team? Do you make it just a team that outscores the other team? Kind of like we did, right? And sometimes you're giving up a bunch of goals, but you're just scoring a lot. Does that get you far enough?
I think in this league it does.
Yeah.
It doesn't in the NHL, right?
No.
But in this league, you can outscore teams, right?
Yeah.
You can. There's enough talent discrepancy between teams that you can do that.
Yeah. I know those are big questions, maybe without answers, but the reality is it sucks. Like, as exciting as it is to have Bedard on the team, it's kind of a little bit worrisome too, that the small window that he's here will go by quickly. And it feels like we've been rebuilding now for a while. This season kind of throws a wrench into your rebuild as well. It's kind of time to get going here. And you had a good chance to talk to Dave Struch too here about, and both of them use the word the identity of the team. And I think that's the question I have too, is what is the identity of the team and what they're going to be building towards? What's the goals? Of course, this isn't on Dave Struch. This is on John Paddock as well, who's doing his part. And I always, and we've said it before, in Paddock, we trust he is wise, and I think he's got some ideas going. And we'll see. But yeah, like I said, you had this chance to talk to Dave about the future, so we will listen to that now.
Well, we've always talked about a team identity and how we've wanted to play. And with a young group, it's hard to develop that identity because you need to get them older. And I think that we have established something here with this group and being hard to play against, no matter who we play. Last night, it was hard for Swift Current to play against us. Yeah, they won the game, but they had a tough time winning that game. We did. We played hard, and I'm sure that back to Swift and PA, I think Winnipeg has probably had the easiest time against us. We've got one more game against them, but our identity, our team identity has come a long ways, and it's the way that we want to play so that when we do get higher end skill in the lineup and we're playing this way, I think that we can have some success down the road. We just hope that we can continue to grow together so that we can win together, however long that may take, 1-2 years. We're still going to be a young group next year. So establishing this identity and maintaining it is going to be really important. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from the year.
So again, he uses the word identity numerous times throughout that. I don't know what the team doesn't feel like it has a great identity right now, and I feel like they need to find it fairly quickly. Do you think the players we have now are going to be the ones that can bring it?
I mean, he talked about like playing a physical style game as well and getting some wins.
Being a hard team to play against.
Yeah, right. But that's. I know. In another interview, I know he talked about the Seattle series, right, and them being physical, but they had skill as well, right? You got to have both. You can't just rely on being physical and trying to outwork teams to win. Yeah, sure, you can win some games in the regular season, but you can't go on a deep playoff run like that. You need skill and hard work,
some grit,
and some grit, right?
Yeah.
So, and consistency with all that.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy for us to reflect back to that season, and where things kind of fell apart was when it got late and it got gritty. And we think back to, and he's one of the players I despise the most, but Ottenbright with Seattle, that man, between him and Barzell, they influenced that series so much. So you have that high end talent, but you need that bit of grit. And then, I mean, I didn't like how, as a Pats fan, I hated how it played out. But that guy, he changed that series fairly significantly. And that's, I mean, hockey's changing, but it's still, that's not that long ago. It still is like that. So those players aren't the hardest to come by, but they're probably the easiest, actually. It's the high-end talent that I think we need to surround Connor Bedard with. And I don't know, where do you build it? How do you get that?
Well, I think that's where maybe this year was a lost year where you couldn't make trades, but the trade window was pretty slim just before the season started.
Yep.
And they obviously didn't feel like making any moves this year, so you lose that kind of area. But I mean, you got this whole off season here to start making some decisions, right? Like you said, there's 20-year-old decisions to be made, and maybe they bring in a 20-year-old from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the 19s for next year. Well, you got Carrier, Brook, Engel, Dubinsky up front, Mitchell and Cadeau on the back end. Do those inspire you as top end players? Because 19s drive this league, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So it's a tough. I think it's going to be tough sledding. What do you think, Kevin?
I agree. It's gonna be hard for them to get going, especially with the Bantam draft or whatever they're going to call it going forward. When is that going to happen? When are the picks going to start getting flip-flopped and stuff? So it's going to be an interesting build.
It's going to be tough. They might be selling some assets again. If they want to win.
Definitely.
Right? Then we're right back in this. Oh, God.
Yeah.
The perpetual rebuild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
And just taking a quick glance, like, I can only see one championship with an exceptional status player, and that was with Joe Veleno and the St. John Sea Dogs in 16-17. Like,
Okay.
Tavares didn't win a championship. McDavid didn't win a championship. Ekblad went to Game 7 of the OHL final. I mean, he's a defenseman, so he doesn't, he's not that he wasn't high end, but, he doesn't score the goals, stuff like that, right? He didn't win a championship. He was close, but so that's, and that's the thing we were talking about earlier. These exceptional status players don't join good teams, right?
Yeah, and they don't stay around long enough for a build. And
they don't stick around long enough. I mean, the Pats weren't the worst team in the league, but they're at the bottom.
Pretty near.
So near the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's tough for these exceptional status players. Sure, they can maybe drag the team far, but they need some help. Yeah. And it's tough to turn around these teams in 2 years quickly, right?
It is without, again, selling off picks and doing that and this and we'll see.
And drafting at 15, right? Because you lose a year right there.
Oh, I know. Like, going into next year now, you draft. Okay, we have a great draft, whatever, but they're not. Those players aren't going to matter. It's the guys we drafted
last year,
and when we didn't have picks, right? Like it's.
Because you look at the list players, there's nobody really. Well, at 18, you got Ian Samoza and the import pick Savozil. So, and then you look at your 17s, there's a list of unsigned guys, and 16s, there's a lot. But even at 16, that's the same age as Bedard, so you need some, not better talent, but you need some older talent.
Absolutely.
With him, because 16s aren't gonna help Bedard at this point, aren't gonna help this team. We need 18s and 19s.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's what do you want to say? Is it bittersweet? I mean, it's awesome we have him, but it's going to be a lot of work to build a team around him in a very short period of time. The reality is, like, it's 2 seasons that we have, and this lost season almost with this year. A lot of work to be done.
The free year kind of got wasted, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. A lot of work to be done. We don't have to necessarily worry about it. We just talk about it, which is nice. It's nice being on this side. It's nice being on this side. But we can't dwell too much. There's too many unknowns, too many questions, and since we are on this side, we really don't have the answers, but we can talk about them a little bit. But we won't dwell on them because that's not going to do us anything. So let's continue on. Let's talk about Connor Bedard's performance at the U18s. So Chris and I both had pegged him at, what did you vote on the poll there? What did you actually pick?
15 plus.
Yeah.
15 to 18, was it?
I think that's what I picked too. And damn, he was close. And you know what? I was thinking about it. The only thing that maybe held him back more was the quality of the other players on Team Canada. Right? Like that first game against Sweden, where they put up a ton of points, he didn't have that many. Because Shane,
he only had 1 point in that game?
I think he had an assist. Everyone else was just taking it off and getting all the points and whatnot. So I started to think it's not the competition that's slowing him down. It's almost his own team being so good as well. With Shane Wright, man, these exceptional status kids, like, wow, just phenomenal. I hadn't really seen Shane Wright play up until this point, and boy, I mean, how many points did he put up? He missed 2 games. Like, what a great performance! And that was actually the kind of the most exciting hockey I've seen. Most excited, at least, I've been for hockey in a little while. It was a nice treat. I was really happy with that tournament.
Yeah, and it was nice. I don't think I've ever watched the under-18s before.
No,
like
I'll admit I hadn't.
Have you, Kevin?
Here and there, but nothing like this. I watched every game they showed on TSN. So
Yeah, exactly. Right. There's nothing else going on right now, so
Right.
it's like everybody's dialed into this.
Yep.
And yeah, we kind of thought we look at the competition, and you're like, okay, Sweden, and then you got Belarus and Switzerland. So we think he can rack up some points in those games, right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, yeah, there's some lower competition, but he upped his game in the medal round, which was impressive, right?
Yeah, he really
like
turned
he
it on at
stepped
the end.
up.
That gold medal game too was, whew. I mean, he had the hat trick in the semis, but boy, the gold medal game, he really put a stamp on it too. That backhand shot he had was just, what was that? Like,
unreal.
Exactly. Unreal. I think it was him. Okay, so he set up McTavish backdoor, and he missed the net.
Yes.
So
Yes.
maybe he's a little pissed off. Not that he's pissed off, but like, oh, that's a missed opportunity. Then he has the penalty shot. He goes to his, I think it's low. He was trying to go low glove where he had done in the WHL here, and he'd scored pretty regularly on it.
Yep.
With his quick release, and he gets stopped. And now he's pissed.
Now he's
So
mad.
next shift
You don't
out-
want him mad. It's like, oh no.
And he gets, and he's got the neutral zone. He winds up in the neutral zone, and he just dangles that defenseman in that backhand. Oh, where did that come from? Like,
That's the question.
like a Crosby-esque backhand.
But it was like when you do that lateral move to your backhand, usually you like go across and then backhand it, but he did it so fast. He wasn't even through his like deep to his backhand. It was like halfway, and then the shot's gone. It was just, I'm sure that goaltender was just caught off guard. It was
Surprise. Oh,
yeah,
totally.
It was like he did it mid move and then got that velocity and that target. It was just, it's just phenomenal.
Like I said, unreal.
It really was. And I mean, maybe just the casual fan watching it. And again, I played a bit of hockey, but to watch, when you see enough goals, you'd expect him to finish that move to his backhand and then shoot it. But it was like halfway through and then he's shooting, and it wasn't like a dribble. To get that force, it's unbelievable. And I'm just so excited to watch him play.
Yeah, and like the backhand is kind of like out of style, but the only guy like I can think of is Crosby that still really is going hard with that backhand with his like straight stick, right? He's still strong on that backhand.
Yeah.
Like you've seen him score some nice backhand goals.
And then I mean, it was a good game. It kind of Russia was pushing though. I was actually kind of excited to see us down. They hadn't played down. So to come back and have to come back from a deficit twice, I think, weren't they down twice?
Yeah, they were.
Showed a lot. That Russian goaltender played really well. Yeah, it was a good tournament. I was happy with it. Bedard getting 14 points, tying McDavid. I guess fitting. It would have been nice to beat him. It would have been nice to beat him, but whatever. And Bedard was named not player. He didn't get like a single out, but he was named to some team. I don't know which one.
The kind of the all-star team, I think it was.
Okay. So good for him. Yeah, I think his team was so good that he probably would have had more points if they didn't take them all, but it was really good. I was happy to see that. Good TSN coverage again.
Yeah, it was nice to see.
Yeah.
And then you talk about the Russian team, they had some high-end skill, right?
Yeah.
And TSN pumped it every time, right?
Yeah.
And it was nice to see Mitchov, which is going to be, 1-2 with Bedard, I think, in 2023, and he lit it up, like 12 goals. Like that's impressive.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think, when you look at even this level, you can tell like where the cream starts to rise is just their shots are so much better. Like you could even see it even in this high level. There's the ones that just have that next level shot. And yeah, it's almost like a pro level shot at some point, right? Like you're seeing some of these kids. Yeah.
Yeah, you look at Wright, Bedard, Mitchell, they've got pro level shots already, right? Like even seeing it, like Kevin will attest to this, seeing Bedard live, he's got a pro shot already.
Oh yeah.
And everybody was talking a shot, but it's not just a shot, it's his IQ as well. Like you've seen him set up Denemy how many times, so he like it's not just a one-dimensional game for him.
Yeah, anything else to say about that tournament?
I would have liked to see Svozil play.
Yeah,
I wasn't able to catch either the Czech games that were covered, and just to see what he's about. Like I don't know much about him, and that's even if we can get him over here next year.
Yeah.
Stabilize or bring some talent into that back end.
Hey, that'd be a good first piece to start with. Hey, you think there's a chance?
You never know, right?
So getting on with some more off-topic news, some unfortunate news really coming out of Regina. Longtime leader post coverage beat writer Greg Harder is moving on from his. He's still with the leader post, just in a different position. So leaving a really pretty significant gap there. I mean, I never really talked to Greg. I think you did. You've had some interactions with him, Chris.
Yeah, a little bit last year. It was just basically him and I covering the team on a game-by-game basis.
Yeah, and I hope he really did bring this to the forefront with the leader post and the local media. I just really hope whoever's coming in behind him fills that gap. We've got some great coverage with Dub Network, of course, but just getting into the papers and stuff like that. Greg did such a fantastic job. He had at least one article a week, probably like more than that though, in during the season regarding the Pats. And I hope someone's in there to fill that role. I did nominate Kevin. I did say, I don't know, you don't have a journalism degree though, it sounds like?
No.
Okay.
Not there.
Well, like I said, Chris and I will be references for you. If the leader post is listening, reach out to @theBlueLiner. No, it's sad, but it sounds like he's going on to something else.
Yeah, and I think he's been around the team for so long now, 20 years, and he had that inside scoop, right? Like he's the only one in the city that's really covering the Pats properly.
Yeah.
Like, you see in the articles like the ownership change, like not change, but shake up, right? Like he's the only one that's got that scoop, right? Like Rob Van Stone's article mentioned, like he's got the inside scoop with the Pats, and nobody else in the city does. And we see all three of us now. We had access to the media access, and you see the other ones, they're here and there, just a little part-time. Once Bedard was gone, the coverage was lacking. And Greg was the only one that was there every single game, right?
Going to be interesting what the leader post does and Regina Media does going forward with that gap. I think having Bedard will help find the journalists will come to it. But after that, yeah, I mean, Greg had obviously a passion for the Pats and junior hockey that not many people do. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes over the next few years. So speaking of Bedard, did you guys get your hockey cards?
Yeah.
Did you?
I did.
Yes. Did you pay retail for them or?
Yes, I paid retail.
Retail.
Yeah. There's some people out there that are trying to take advantage of this hype and selling those. I'm not saying selling; they're listing them for just disgusting prices. I hope it's none of our listeners, because come on, man, that's a little low. Because really, now I just saw the most recent tweet. So the first batch had what, 2,500?
I think 2,500 total. I think it was just 500 the first day, right?
25.
I think the full run was 2,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those went fairly quickly. I think within the day.
Yeah, within hours, a couple hours.
Okay. They're re-releasing them. Like, don't go out and spend. Some people have them posted for over $100. Just wait till they come out again. Don't go and spend all that money.
I think they're done now, right?
I believe that the 2,500 is done then.
Yeah, this week was the last set of 500, I think.
Oh, so it's the same. They made 2,500.
And they just released them
slowly,
yeah.
Oh, so there's not going to be more than 2,500?
No, 2,500 is the limit. So now, if you didn't get any
okay.
now,
Well, then mine are for sale. No. I thought it meant they were doing another run, and they'll just keep printing them.
I think it was the case. They had 2,500 planned, and they released 500 the first day, and then the next week was another 500.
Sure, okay.
Kind of thing, right? Okay. Or 1,000 the next week, or whatever.
Oh, the way I interpreted it was they had 2,500, sold them, and they're just going to print some more.
No. It was 2,500 total.
Oh. All right. Well, now I'm happy I got some.
So the guy on Facebook saying that there was only 500 printed that was selling them for 70 and now has lowered his price to 50. He's still out there. But yeah, the total was 2,500, I think.
Oh, I see. And they're not going to.
And I mean, there's some pushback maybe on the price as well.
$15. Yeah, I mean, normally you'd get them for free at co-op.
Yeah, free at the co-op. Right?
Yeah, you just walk in.
I work right next to the co-op, and I just walk over and get one every week, right?
Yeah, but you don't even have to buy gas, do you?
No, you can just walk in.
They just had stacks of them.
Yeah, they were just right on the till or right on the counter.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's interesting. Maybe they will be a bit of... I haven't even opened my package yet, actually. So mine's sealed. Factory sealed.
Well, you can maybe sell it for more down the line then.
Yeah.
I've touched mine, so it's already lost some value, right?
That's garbage. That was nothing. Anyways, moving on. How about the rest of the WHL? You guys been following it?
Kevin and I were just talking about that before you came on, and we were like, nope, not really.
Yeah,
not really. Here and there, but not much.
No.
So it does sound like the Central's all done, right?
Yeah.
BC's got a few games left this weekend, and the U.S. division's still trucking along, and actually the first teams to allow fans back in is in the U.S. division, the Tri-City Americans, allowing fans, if they're fully vaccinated. I don't know how they're telling that. I guess you have to show something, some sticker or
your vaccine passport or whatever they're calling it, right?
Yeah. So I mean, hey, it's positive news. Fans back at the WHL, so that's a good start and maybe indicative of next year.
Well, I think by next year the U.S. division would be wide open for fans. Canada might be another story. You never know, right? There's two totally different mindsets here, right?
What do you think? Now that we're on the topic, what do you think? Do you think we'll be there?
I do.
Yeah. I wouldn't see why not, but you never know, right?
I think so. I think we'll be there.
I think so.
I'd hope so. But I mean, like I said, in the States, there's stuff happening that's wide open already, right?
They're so much further ahead than us, though.
They are way further ahead.
Yeah. But things are coming together here. I mean, it's only May. I think by October, I think we'll be watching hockey.
Live,
in person.
Yeah.
The other league, so of course we know the O is done. They're done like dinner. They're not playing. But the Q's trucking along. They're in playoffs. They're going to be awarding their trophy, and they just do their own thing there, hey?
Yeah, they do. It's Quebec, right? They do their own thing.
They really
they're in the quarterfinals. They're down to 8 teams. Just started, I don't know, maybe this weekend. There's 2 games played. So if you're still interested in some junior hockey there,
pick up
there's some playoff there.
Pick up a CHL hockey pass, and you can watch them play. Another little tidbit too is because of the success of the sub hub here in Regina, the Women's World Hockey Championship may end up here, is what I've heard. Of course, they got shut down in Halifax. I think they're supposed to be playing probably right now. and so they were shut down. And I don't know, they said, due to the success of the sub hub here, I guess it wouldn't be the sub hub at that time, but this using the university and the Brandt Center worked out fairly well for the Pats and all the other teams that they may take up advantage of that situation. It wouldn't be any fans, I imagine, but
what were the dates for that?
I don't know. I know they canceled it. People were already there. They were starting to isolate.
Because I thought I'd heard sometime in the fall. Well, does that maybe
August 20 to 31?
Okay, there we go. So that wouldn't cross over with the Pats, right? Like with the season.
Definitely not.
Because do we have a solid start date yet, or has it just been pushed back or kind of like to be determined later?
To be determined. Yeah, there's been no official word.
Okay, yeah. So that's the only thing I was thinking, right? Is there going to be some overlap there?
Yeah, the Women's World Hockey Championships were supposed to be going right now. Actually.
Yeah, I just seen it starts. Supposed to start yesterday.
Yeah, but they've been moved to August 20 to 31.
Okay,
with no location.
Yeah,
no.
To be determined.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was a few places mentioned, including Regina. Yeah, whether not that official word, but kind of, maybe Regina's an opportunity for them to go from some media outlets.
Okay, gentlemen, anything else you want to go over this season? This is the season wrap up. Anything else you want to say? Closing comments there, Chris?
It was nice to see some hockey. Like we said, we weren't too sure or weren't too positive about some hockey this season, so it was nice to see some hockey played. Maybe we were expecting a little better outcome of the games, but all in all, it was just great to have some hockey. Oh, one other thing we didn't mention, Phil Andrews is officially done after this year.
Yes.
So he had his official, not retirement, but moving on statement on Twitter today.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, I mean, that's, speaking of shoes to fill, those are big shoes to fill for the Regina Pats. Phil and his iconic voice. Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one. We'll see. Is it Evan? Is that the consensus?
Yeah. I was gonna say, is it gonna be Evan? Like, did he get maybe a little grooming this year, a little taste of it? Mm-hmm. I mean, he's done broadcasting before.
Yeah.
So.
And Kevin, I'll give you the last word.
Why do I get the last word?
Because you're the honored guest.
I don't know. It was like Chris said. It was good to get hockey in. It was nice to see them play. The outcome, whatever. It wasn't the way everybody was hoping for. But we got
kind
to
of what we
got
expected,
to see,
though.
Got to see Bedard.
Mm-hmm.
Got to see a few of the younger guys. Yeah, hopefully things can get better. I'm sure they will, because I don't think Paddock will let it continue like this. And I look forward to late September, October, whenever they start up for 2021.
Awesome. So thank you, Kevin. We will wrap up this season of Pat's Cast. Back next year, Chris?
Of course, definitely.
Sure. Let's do it again next year, you guys. We will be back. We'll probably, once we hear about draft and schedules and things like that, we will have a summer episode and get back to you guys. And yeah, let's do it all again. All right. Well, have a good summer.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you again, Kevin. Check out Kevin's articles on Dub Network, as well as all the other great information and WHL related news they put out. And we will talk to you guys later. Good night.
Yeah, see you guys.